So we're going to take a look at section 1 of chapter 18 called Finding Order and Diversity. And the starter question is the scientific name Acer Scherarum. What does each part of the name designate? And there are two different things we're going to learn about. We're going to look at binomial nomenclature and systematics, and then we're going to identify each of the taxa within the classification system that Linnaeus came up with. So it is important for biologists to assign scientific names to organisms through a standardized system which is known as taxonomy. It is basically the way that we classify all organisms looking at their shared characteristics and changes as new discoveries are made. So there's a standardized system of taxonomy that's used by the scientific community, kind of the same as there's a universal system of measurement. For this, there's a universal system of taxonomy. And so there are different rules to identify and name each species, where each species would have a scientific name that is unique to that particular species. Dichotomous keys are ways to identify different organisms based on their characteristics. And so this is a way where we can look at different leaves and determine what type of tree they belong to. So if it's a compound leaf, meaning that there are several different leaflets, or if it's a simple leaf, meaning that it's not divided. And then if it's a simple leaf, you would then go to step 4 and look at those different characteristics in order to figure out which trait it possesses until you can classify that particular type of tree. So in this example here, this leaf to the right is a simple leaf. So we would go to step 4, and the veins are branched off of the main vein in the middle of the leaf. So then we would go to step 6, and the edges are jagged, so this is a birch leaf. So when we look at binomial nomenclature, there are two different names that are assigned to make up the scientific name. The first one is known as the genus, and the second one is the species. It's kind of like having a first and last name, but in reverse. So the genus will always be capitalized, and the species will always be lowercase, and the entire name would be italicized. If you are writing it, since you can't write in italics, it will be underlined. Here's another example. Again, the genus is capitalized, the species would be lowercase, and it would be in italics, but if you were writing it, it would be underlined. So Linnaeus is the individual that kind of came up with this system of classification, and he based each of the groupings based on similarities and differences between the groups. So he came up with this hierarchy where it's looking at this list: species, genus, family, order, class, phylum, kingdom. This is going from most specific to most general. So the species is going to be the most specific, and the kingdom is going to be the most general. But again, the binomial nomenclature is assigning a scientific name. So if we look at what we know as the domesticated cat, it would be Felis catus, where Felis would be the genus and catus would be the species, but together it makes up this scientific name. The scientific name for humans is Homo sapiens, where Homo would have a capital H, sapiens would be lowercase. Again, it would be italicized if it were in writing, or text. If we were writing it, rather, it would be underlined. So this is looking at from species to kingdom. Remember that species is going to be unique to one specific group, where as you go through the classification and get to kingdom, kingdom is going to be the most inclusive because it includes a variety of organisms. And as you kind of go from species to kingdom, it includes more organisms as you go through the tiers. There is a way to kind of remember this grouping from most general to most specific. Kids prefer cheese over fine green spinach, where each of those first letters represents one of these groups of taxonomy. As we discover new organisms, these will always challenge the classification. So the natural definition of a species is a member of a group that can mate together. And all of the other rankings are determined by scientists based on the similar characteristics of organisms. So this is a group of fruits, and you can classify them based on their similarities and their differences.